Forbes Books presents Leading What Matters Most, the podcast that helps you change behaviors, improve performance, and unlock the potential of your people. Here's Phil Geldart.
Hi, Dottie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Phil.
It's great to have you. My guest this week is Dottie Belletto. She is a true innovator in the hospitality space. As founder and CEO of NOCCI, Dottie has shaped the events world with her creative vision and key eye for design for over 30 plus years. Her influence extends far beyond events, though. She's an active community volunteer and serves on numerous boards, bettering key institutions from workplace development all the way through to education. And I think, Dottie, I looked through all the things I could say about you, and I'd spend half the podcast listing your accomplishments. So it truly is a pleasure to have you on board. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
So one of the things, Dottie, that I thought would be a great place to start is you have been phenomenally successful, not just in the business, but as a leader. And I'd love for you to chat a little bit about your convictions around the importance of being a great leader and getting at the potential within the workforce, how you've done that so well, and some of the things that you feel have led to that success.
Well, thank you, Bill. I think, it's a experience and continued growth within a leader because we have to, when we're leading others, we have to listen very carefully and intensely and hold back giving our thoughts until we understand the thoughts and think through that team member and what they're saying to us. We want everybody in a group or a team to enjoy what they're doing. That's number one. You have to love what you're doing. You have to have passion for it. And if you don't, then you need to reassess. And I've always said that to any of the team members that come on board to NOCCI. There's a lot of experiences, there's cross opportunities to work in different areas. So pick your area that you're most comfortable with, develop that, then let's grow from there. If there are some team members that come in and our company cannot offer them the experience that they would like to have, I do my due diligence in finding them that area that many of them come into the hospitality industry. They want to go into hotels. They're comfortable with that. They want to go into a restaurant. And we cross over and we work with restaurants and we work with hotels, but, we're not in their house all the time. So having success with that, and it's really interesting, Phil, because most of the young people over the years have actually come back to NOCCI. And
Yep.
That's allowing those team members to go out and have these experiences and then bring it back home. And I call NOCCI home because as a leader, I've developed a family, and we are family. And so there are times when, we respectfully disagree and we agree. I have to let them grow to understand that everything we do, there is a reason for that decision. And over the years, the consistency of our team has stayed with me 15, 16, 18 years. And they've come in right out of college. And so I've had the opportunity to train them in the NOCCI way. And then they have trained others that have come in behind them. So we've been very fortunate in NOCCI and allowing our team members to explore. And if there's something that they genuinely are interested in, we have about 8 to 10 divisions in the company now. That's a result of the interest that my team members have in going outside of event planning. They're interested in nonprofit. So we do nonprofit programming now. They're interested in sports marketing. We do sports marketing. So I just, as an entrepreneur, go into the marketplace. If there's a need for it, then we expand the company. And that team member becomes that project lead. So it's rather, I guess, unique. I don't know. I
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that I often feel is critical in most companies is to promote initiative. And organizations seem to be they hate the idea of encouraging people to go in new directions. They're happy to have the initiative in existing directions, but not so much in the new direction. And it sounds as though you've been able to harness the desire of the individual to go off and try things, try different things, demonstrate their initiative, and then fold that into the company.
That's correct. That's exactly. They're part of the growth, and they're an extension of the company. So it's worked well for us. And the company has had repeat business because of it. We have had clients for 25, 28 years consistently. One of the major oil companies is one of ours, and is connected to Jazz Fest, which is a big event, correct? And so, one of my team members just has a good, solid relationship with their internal team, and that's what she works on, and she has grown it beyond that we would have ever expected. And so now she has other people that work under her. I said, well, we need to get a marketing. We've never had really a marketing director, and going a sales director to go out there and bring more business in, because Phil, our clients keep coming back. And so it's really unusual. With that being said, the type of business and service that we give, we can't overextend, because that's our mark of excellence. So we don't overextend. We're very careful with that. And so the service that we give the companies that we have under contract and who we contract with on a consistent basis, they expect that same service year to year to year. So we're pretty careful on our growth aspect. We take on clients that we feel that we can be very successful for. And I never thought I'd see the day when I would turn down a piece of business, Bill. It just pulls at my heartstrings sometimes, because we all started out somewhere, right? And it really does. But I always find a way that we can initially help that client. And then, just as I've done with our team members, and finding the right fit for them, if we're just at a point where we just feel like that it's best that they have someone else come into it. So as a result of that, we have developed so many relationships with professional people in the marketplace. And when we work together, on a lot of programs. And of course, that door opens up other things. So it's really sort of interesting as we sit here today, Phil. You've brought me to a place that I don't think entrepreneurs often have to reflect on where they've been, where they are, and what's the next step. Where are they going?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting, reflective time for our company right now, because we've had a really good experience with our clients, repeats, and new clients coming on board. And what's that next challenge? That's the next thing. What is that next challenge?
So, Dottie, let me come back to something you said earlier. One of the things that Eagles Flight has always focused on is the concept of family. And very often that concept within a company doesn't seem to resonate very well. It resonates well if you're within an organization that has it. And you talked about, building your company where people feel like they're family. So chat a little bit about that. What does that mean? What do you do to create that sense of family? And how do you feel that ends up benefiting both the client as well as the individual? Because I do agree that's critical, but I think there'd be a lot of companies that would go on. What does that actually mean?
It's being respectful, first of all, being respectful of your team and the individuals you have on number one. And everybody, just wants to be respected, whether they have a good idea or a bad idea. You're respectful enough to listen to the idea and push forward on things that can work for the company. We get big longevity has a lot to do with it. Respect and longevity. Having the team stay together. We have families that have been created through NOCCI, and we have one of our team members has 2 boys now. Another has 2 girls. Then they work together. They go out together. The kids play together. They go to the same schools together. We have marriages that are happening. We've got a new team member who's going to be getting married and starting her family, and another team member that just got engaged at Thanksgiving. And it's a beautiful, it's about longevity and developing the family unit within the company they're working. If we don't have an event that's coming up, I'm not hard, fast rule maker, but if everybody has what they need and the event's completed, and I know that they're getting ready to prepare for something in their family, I'll say, why don't you just take that day off and take care of what you need to take care of? And then I will, if there's some Fridays that they need a long weekend, because I know I stay in touch and I know what's happening within the family unit. That helps me to understand how I need to interact and communicate with my team member. And if I have someone who has their in-laws or their grandmothers or grandfathers are very ill and they're being very emotional at work, and I've got to figure out why are they being, so emotional? What's going on? This is not their usual temperament. And I go we have conversations, or I'll take them to lunch, or I'll call them and we'll have a conversation, a personal conversation. And I find out that, that their grandparents are in bed, not going to be with us much longer, so that makes all the sense in the world. So then we adapt to that until that team member is comfortable and can keep working. Other team members will come in and support them. If there is an issue or a problem that's happening personally, we know about it, we come in and we support them and get through it together. Nothing can really destroy a person or hurt them so badly that they can't recover. Everyone can. We all have those times in life where it's very difficult and it makes us very sad, or we get very ill, but we can get through it with the support and help of those and the love of the family unit that comes together. And, we just all very much respect each other. Everybody's I'm not saying it's a perfect scenario by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, there are times when, I'll get pushed and I'll think, oh, am I getting taken advantage of? And then we'll sit down and have a conversation about it. I'm very frontal. I don't hold anything in, and and my team knows it. I mean, if there's an elephant in the room, we're going to talk about the elephant, If there's a team member that's upset about it, some other team member, we're going to talk about it, but in a very positive way. What can we do to help you, get the job done, and if it's other members that need to come into it, then we just need to have that communication. So respect and communications is just, we say communicate. I can't say it enough, but I'm wondering sometimes if people really communicate, or are they just words? And, you're not really feeling it. And, it's meaningful. We all have to be a little bit more careful when we open our mouth and we start to say words, that we're careful those words are not harmful or can be taken out of context or can be used to hurt another human being. And I think in this day and age, it's people, and my young people are looking for that camaraderie, that holistic experience, and they want a quality of life. And that's where we are today, Phil. And in my time when I was bringing this company into it, I would work 24/7, 7 days a week. I'd make time for my family, and I would make sure that everything was taken care of there. But it's a different world today. Our young people want to have a nice balance, and they want to have a life. They want to have a family unit. They want to have children. It's almost like going backwards, when families were so tight and lived in the same area. And I'm seeing a lot of that, Bill. But it's another thing. It's communication. It's the listening skills with that. And it's also just being in touch, just being in touch. Not every day, but I always, we have a weekly meeting where we get all together. Even through the pandemic, we had Zoom, and I'd play inspirational, fun music to get everybody going, to pull them out of the funk, because they were stressed. And how do you have an event company when you can't have events? So what do you do? So in those conversations, we went to work in a virtual manner and did virtual events, and it worked. And we were the first out of the door in our area to do it. Then it became more commonplace, but we were the first out. Then we went and got certifications. I had everybody work to get certified in anything and everything they wanted to do. So it was a good time. It was a hard time, but we journeyed through it. And on the other side came out smarter, stronger. Our growth was unbelievable, and my team members experienced all that.
Clearly, you have very, very high standards. So if we take that as a given, obviously, you're very successful at meeting those standards. So now you have individuals who are going off, perhaps trying new things, feeling comfortable in a family environment. How do you ensure that their performance continues to the standard that you want? Is it through mentoring? Is it through training? Like, how do you guide them to continue to grow and get better? Because a family environment could also lead to a level of complacency where people don't feel challenged.
Thank you for that question. That's a great question. And I have different mantras. Like, if you touch it, you own it. That's one of the things. And so I'll have team members say, well, I said, oh, you're getting a little close. If you touch it, now you own it. Let's fix the decisions here. I'm very involved with on-site. I try to say background, but logistics is my world of expertise, so to speak. So, and they know it, and they'll call me in on some things. But how do I gauge this so they don't get complacent? We have operation orders. And I tell you what, nobody wants to do these ops orders. And it can be sometimes 25 pages. I started this from the get-go where I made them sit down. I always said, repetition is retention. That's another one of my little sayings, because I would not only teach, I put things out there for my students to have to write, and then they'd have to listen to the lecture, and then they'd have to give it back to me. I had my ways of doing those. So the ops orders are my way of not getting them complacent. And then I sit with them and go through those ops orders. And that's my training tool, so that when we go through it, and now they will not do anything without ops orders. They go kicking and screaming, but they know they need to, because, I forgot that one room is going to need some audio visuals. How did I miss that when we go through the ops order? So everything is written. We go through it. It's their Bible for every single event we do. And within those ops orders are also exactly what our mode of operation is, that we always advance everything. And in the world we're living, years ago, I did it because I was trained by the White House. Advanced work is, you have to. But in today's world, advanced work is critical. You cannot take a client to see a venue and just expect to show up and the door's going to be open and there's going to be somebody there. That doesn't happen. So we send an advanced person before the client and the staff person get there. and make sure everything is set up. That's what I think that's one of the things that we do to a whole different level because of my training that most do not. They trust, and I trust, but we have 3 backup plans, A, B, and C, and in all our ops sorters, we have backup plans. If the weather is inclement, what are you going to do? What if the electricity goes down? What happens if the caterer doesn't show up? What are your plans on that?
That's cool. It's funny you mentioned that. We have what we call a contingency diagram. And when we teach it, we say to folks, I want you to think of all the things that you would do to guarantee that a first and very important date goes horribly wrong. And people can list these things like, well, I bring my mother, I forget to shower, I make sure that the date pays for everything. But people can list the negatives very quickly. And we end up with this. So whatever you have, whatever project you're doing, you have to create a contingency diagram is everything that could go wrong to guarantee failure. And then, of course, you convert that back to what you do to be successful. Because we discovered if you ask people what to do to be successful, the list is about 5 things. If you ask the list, how do you guarantee it's not going to be successful, you get like 30 things. So it's exactly the same thing that you're doing. And it's a very powerful tool to make sure that what you have promised you can deliver.
That's correct.
That's really neat. Okay, hang on, Dottie. We have to stop here, but next time on Leading What Matters Most, I'll continue my conversation about the qualities of great leadership with Dottie Belletto, the founder of NOCCI, which is one of the top destination management companies in New Orleans.
Be careful. There are ways that you can go down real quick. If it's all about, you can create something. Just make sure that when you create it, you have a budget that's outlined right next to it, because you don't want to go out there and sell something that you can't afford to do. I've always been very conscious about that.
This has been Leading What Matters Most with Phil Geldart. If you want to create a culture that drives performance and develop leaders that inspire and motivate, go to philgeldart.com. Leading What Matters Most is a production of Forbes Books.